Hello patriots, and welcome back to the Conservative Crows, where we discuss the liberal and Democrat actions that we believe are detrimental to the American way of life. Today, we're diving into an issue concerning the national debt. Specifically, we'll explore how the Biden administration is addressing it and how they are gaslighting the American people by pointing fingers at the Republicans. But before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on our insightful content. Now, let's discuss today's topic. The national debt is a significant concern for many, and it has been a topic of debate for years. Recently, the Biden administration has been vocal about the challenges they face, and they're not shy about attributing the blame to the Republicans.
If you look at that data, there's a trickle-down debt, if you think about it. Republican tax cuts are responsible for about 90% of it. You've heard the president speak to this, of what he has done to certainly lower the debt. He signed a legislation to lower the deficit by $1 trillion. What they've tried to do is continue to give a tax break to the millionaires and the billionaires, and that what they have actually put forward would add more than $3 trillion to the debt.
That was White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre blaming Republican lawmakers for the record $34 trillion debt yesterday, saying that they're responsible for so-called trickle-down debt. The White House claiming GOP tax cuts caused 90% of the national debt, and that Biden has actually moved to cut $1 trillion of it since taking office.
First off, let's briefly understand what the national debt is. It's the total amount of money the federal government owes to creditors. As of our latest data, the national debt has just hit an all-time high of $34 trillion. It's a staggering number, and it continues to grow.
Let's bring in Virginia Congressman Ben Cline. He's a member of the House Judiciary, Budget, and Appropriations Committees. Congressman, your response to those comments from KGB at the White House?
Well, it's extremely arrogant on her part to put forward the idea that somehow the $11 trillion in spending in additional debt that the Biden administration has engaged in over the last 3 years has somehow not been responsible for this jump in interest rates, for the increase in costs for American consumers, and yes, for the interest on the debt, which is going to triple over the next 10 years. So that is the spending that coming out of the Biden administration that we have to get under control. And then we can actually pay for the tax cuts, which are stimulating the economy, even as we speak.
President Biden and his team argue that the policies of previous Republican administrations have played a role in the current state of the national debt. They point to tax cuts, increased military spending, and other fiscal policies that, according to them, have contributed to the debt burden. Let's take a closer look at some of these claims. The tax cuts, often championed by Republicans, are said to have reduced government revenue, making it harder to balance the budget. On the other hand, increased military spending is another point of contention. While national security is crucial, critics argue that it has added significantly to the nation's debt. However, it's essential to note that Republicans argue that responsible fiscal policies, such as deregulation and tax cuts, can stimulate economic growth, ultimately increasing revenue. They contend that a growing economy can offset the initial impact of tax cuts and contribute to long-term financial stability. To give some perspective, the national debt on January 19, 2017, the day before Donald Trump was inaugurated president, was $20 trillion. On January 19, 2021, the day before Joe Biden was inaugurated, the debt was $27.8 trillion, about $7.8 trillion higher. During Trump's final year, increased spending was due to the COVID pandemic. As of January 2, 2024, under Biden's administration, the debt had risen by another roughly $6.3 trillion to $34 trillion in just 3 years. The national debt eclipsed $34 trillion several years sooner than pre-pandemic projections. The Congressional Budget Office's January 2020 projections had gross federal debt eclipsing $34 trillion in fiscal year 2029. But the debt grew faster than expected because of a multi-year pandemic starting in 2020 that shut down much of the U.S. economy. The government borrowed heavily under then-President Donald Trump and current President Joe Biden to stabilize the economy and support a recovery. But the rebound came with a surge of inflation that pushed up interest rates and made it more expensive for the government to service its debts. Today, the national debt is almost the same size as the entire U.S. economy, and the debt is on track to double within the next 30 years. Some economists say that could expose the country to a number of dangers, including a budget crisis, rising interest rates, greater economic instability, and a diminished global leadership role. Reducing the debt will require Congress to make politically difficult decisions to either curb spending, raise taxes, or both. Other experts say the United States can safely afford to continue borrowing at present levels because it pays relatively little interest due to its unique position in the global economy. The truth is, the national debt is a result of both Republican and Democratic policies over the years. Bipartisan decisions on spending, entitlements, and economic policies have all contributed to the current situation. It's crucial not to oversimplify the issue by placing blame solely on one party. In conclusion, the national debt is a complex and multifaceted issue that requires a nuanced understanding. While the Biden administration may point fingers at the Republicans, it's crucial to acknowledge the shared responsibility that both parties bear for the nation's financial health. What are your thoughts on this? Drop your comments below, and let's continue the conversation. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends to spread awareness. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.